more often than not, if you take the time to listen to clients, you'll uncover these little gems.
Hello, and welcome to Velocitize Talks. I'm Andy North, and today my guest is Tayo Onabule, co-founder and head of product at Luna London. Tayo, thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, thanks for having me, Andy. It's great to be here.
Luna is described as a full-service digital agency that loves to design and build beautiful digital products, brands, and experiences. Tell us about your company and what sets it apart in the marketplace.
I think the best sort of place to start with Luna is, how myself and Charlie, the co-founder, sort of got started, with the agency overall. We sort of both came from a background of smaller sort of family businesses and sort of working on those sorts of things. This would have been sort of 6-7 years ago now, and really helping them, achieve sort of their kind of business goals on that smaller scale. And kind of coming from that background, we've always had a really keen focus on sort of stripping out the unnecessary from projects and really trying to focus on business goals. And so, that same ethos has taken us all the way from those, really small family businesses through to working with fairly massive companies, whether it's, The Sun, whether it's Android Authority, Metria, Datatonic, and so on. A real range of disciplines and a real range of business needs. But, with all of them, I think that what we focus on is staying sort of fairly small and as nimble as possible. And that, I think, allows us to kind of separate from the pack when it comes to agencies, because quite often agencies are all too willing to bloat out projects and to add an additional line item here, an additional line item there.
Tell us about some of the challenges of building a capable dev team that's both well-rounded and enthusiastic about taking your projects from beginning all the way through to completion.
The best way you can handle it, or the best way you can sort of come at that problem is really just through care. It's one, sort of care for the goals that you need to reach, and two, the care for the team. And so what I mean in that is that I think a great starting place when building a team is really looking at the problems that you want to solve as specifically as you possibly can. Really understanding what the core needs are of the project, what the core needs are of the company or the client that you're working with, and having a deep understanding of that.
That's an excellent response. And speaking of clients, Luna recently built and launched a blazing fast website experience for Android Authority that is built on Headless WordPress. And for our viewers who may not be familiar with what Headless is, much less Headless WordPress, can you give kind of a layman's explanation of what it is and why you decided to use it for Android Authority?
We've gone through a few waves of design and development on websites over the years, so we start off with this super clean and pure HTML, and then we add some styling to it, going back 15, 20, 25 years. You add a bit of styling to it, and then you're like, well, maybe I want to tweak the content on the fly and not introduce a developer, and so you add a CMS to it. A CMS like WordPress is great. It's fully featured. It gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of the content and more flexibility in terms of the design as well. But with that, what you get is progressively, heavier and heavier page loads. And so the exciting thing about Headless is that you get the speed that you would have had back in the day when, the internet connection was too slow to have a heavy website. You get all of that speed. You get super clean and super pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that loads, in an instant, plus all the flexibility in terms of content management that we've all come to know and love from WordPress. So in layman's terms, what headless WordPress is separating those two components so they can both do what they need to do.
Is it fair to say that faster speed for your website leads to more conversion?
It's definitely conversion is one thing, and for Google's sake and search engine's sake, it's definitely preferable. The benefits are, it's definitely all of that stuff, but then, there's tons of things in terms of the ease of updating components on the front end or changing things in design, and rapid development. And all of that comes together to mean that you're able to really craft the user experience around your specific users even faster and make those iterations happen a lot quicker than we were able to on plain WordPress.
Besides headless, are there any other digital technologies that you're excited about that may be either currently in place, like AI, AR, or VR, or could be on the horizon?
We're kind of quite keen, actually, to work with as many new technologies as possible. We've had our head of development is super keen on kind of testing out new theories and trying new stuff, and that really kind of helps us keep on the front foot, so that when a client comes to us and says, can you do this thing, chances are we've already had a play with it and done some things on it, no matter how niche it is. I think for us, one of the most interesting things moving forward is definitely, the machine learning side of things. I know it's a bit of a buzzword at the moment, but it opens up some possibilities of some really interesting stuff that we just previously wouldn't have been able to do. Unfortunately, I can't quite talk of those projects right now, but there's some really exciting stuff around AI and machine learning that's on the horizon for us.
How has the pandemic shaped digital marketing, in your opinion? What are some of the challenges and opportunities that you have seen over the past year or so, and what do you see coming down the line in the future?
It's been a wild one, hey. It's been a really wild one with COVID. But I think what's really stuck out to us and sort of the thing that we've probably talked about and recognized the most throughout this pandemic is how niche things are getting. It really seems to have encouraged a lot more specificity in terms of how things are most effectively marketed and how people respond to companies. It used to be, and this is, getting a bit of an old school idea, but it used to be that a campaign really needed to serve as many people as possible in the marketing world. You needed to sort of take a blanket approach because you'd be throwing your stuff up on a billboard that would be seen, by all walks of life. But I think this pandemic has really cemented the fact that most marketing, most advertising, and most sort of user touch points are becoming more and more personalized.
We've seen so much change in such a short period of time in the marketing industry as a result of COVID. If there's one thing you could change about marketing, what would that be? It'd
be great if clients, for their own sake as well, had a better understanding of what avenues are available to successfully bring a product to market. And that doesn't necessarily mean, to go out and spend a ton on advertising with any specific agency, but more to put the money or put the time or put the care in the places that matter most, whether that's, making sure that the product is attractive, making sure that it's going or directed towards the correct audience. And that sort of stuff. I think it would be nice if that were common knowledge. Let's say we start teaching marketing in primary school. I think that would be a nice development.
What's the best professional advice you've ever heard or been given?
One key idea comes to mind, which is the whole idea of, listen more than you talk. It's surprising the amount of time that agencies spend telling a client what to do and how they should do it, and where the spend should go and where the sort of effort should go. But more often than not, if you take the time to listen to clients, you'll uncover these little gems of insights and understanding about their specific needs and what they're trying to reach for, that otherwise you'd miss if you were to sort of override that communications.
Lastly, we like to ask our guests if there is a book, a blog, or a podcast that they'd like to recommend for our viewers.
There's a great sort of group or company called The Future, FUTUR, run by a guy called Chris Du, I believe. And he's just got a really sort of insightful and truthful take on the industry. He's been a great guide.
My guest today has been Tayo Onabule, co-founder and head of product at Luna London. Tayo, thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks so much, Andy.